right, a very good afternoon to you. It is a minute past 12 p.m. here in Nairobi, East African time. I trust that your day is going on well. For those who are still in their mid-morning breakfast or break, a very good morning to you, and a very good morning, afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you're tuned in across the world. We are going to look at how expensive is democracy in Africa, and we've seen a lot of African countries since the coming of the multi-democracy in the late 80s and early 90s. That has also come with a lot of, challenges that we get to experience here in Africa. So that is going to be our topic this afternoon. Thank you so much. My name is Miriam Ogutu, and it is a pleasure to have you on board. And of course, we are joined by Dr. David Matanga. Doctor, very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Miriam. Thank you very much. I am Dr. David Matanga, right from the second city of Kenya, broadcasting together with Miriam. Thank you very much. The topic today is very important topic, and I would like to ask Miriam if he has any notes, the obstacles of democracy. Why democracy is very costly in Africa? If you can only begin for me a few notes there, then as I prepare my brain, then I will do a takeaway shortly, and we shall be out of the studio immediately. Thank you.
Okay. Doc, I was hoping it will be an open conversation. I do want to,
Okay. Let's have it. That's okay.
Yes.
Let's have an open conversation.
Yes.
First of all, Miriam, the topic as it suggests, the cost of democracy in Africa. Across the continent of Africa, you see huge numbers, huge amounts of money pumped into elections, pumped into apparent voter education, pumped into registration of voters. Registers don't come, things don't work the way we want. We create the journey to fight. We create the journey, the basis on which we can fight and kill each other. Is Africa ready for democracy? Which format of democracy can Africa have? Do we sit and watch a continent, every nation? Zimbabwe is preparing for elections. Uganda had elections last year and the people are still talking of elections. Zimbabwe had the election 4 years ago. It's going to the second election. People are still hammering each other because of elections. Kenya is under election. People are still hammering each other again, even in Kenya, to find out who is the best suited. If you look at the Kenya's, the Kenya's model of, today there is a lot of
Pole. Yeah.
Yes. If you look at Kenya's model and the South African model, which of the models have actually kept the countries intact? South Africa votes. People in South Africa go to vote and go back to office tomorrow and they listen to the results. They don't fight on the streets of Johannesburg, Cape Town, or Pretoria, or Durban, or Port Elizabeth. You have never heard of a fight because of elections in South Africa. Why? It's because of the model of an electoral system. The cost of elections in Africa could be reduced if we went for the right models. Is Kenya's model for elections the best electoral system? The answer is no. Is Uganda's model the right model for the electoral system? The answer is no. Is Tanzanian model the model for the best electoral model system? The answer is yes, with 90 marks and 10% no. Because in Tanzania, why has Tanzania kept its democracy despite the hurdles they have? In Tanzania, there is no petition against the presidential winner. Is that the route we can follow? Because most of the people in Kenya even don't come up to vote because they said there will be a court case. There's an anticipation. The 14 days don't pass in Kenya when a man is not going to file a petition that I was rigged out or somebody did this to me. These are things happening. It makes our election very expensive. The cost of election in Africa becomes expensive because of the lack of the model, the correct model that suits each country. South Africa conducts its elections, but South Africa's model balances. By the time you bring a candidate and field a candidate, you know who the candidate is. And the other parts of South Africa know who the candidate is. The model of the highest vote, the highest member of parliament, the more members of parliament you have, you form that government. It has sustained and sustain peace in Africa. Is all African countries to sustain a proportional representation model where the cast votes versus
We apologize for that. We've suffered another technical hitch from Dr. Matsanga's part, but once he's able to come back. Doc, sorry, we're having a bit of a problem today, but go ahead, I see you back.
that will, was it mine that went off? Yours.
Yeah.
That will make it strong. That will make Kenya peaceful. The only suggestion I make is proportional representation. That each part of Kenya will have a feel of the presidency. Each part of Kenya will have a feel of the leadership, of the caliber. Proportional representation medium brings a caliber, a great caliber of people who will be in parliament, well organized, well received. You will not have these fake paper documents running around if you have proportional representation. Because each party will bring out its own best candidate who will beat the other in order to ascertain. And the voters in that particular place will now vote for the best candidate. Therefore, the cost of democracy in Africa is costly. That's what I wanted us to discuss. And I've opened up, Miriam, you can ask a few questions, then I can do the takeaway.
Yeah. So Doc, and I agree with you. The proportional representation, I think, is just one of those political structures we see very stable across, the continent of Africa. When you look at when South Africans are voting, their voting day, it's not such a big deal. For us here in Kenya, the 9th of August, I can tell you, people are already planning ahead. Others are planning to move to their villages. Others, like, it is a whole event. But for South Africans, just another day. You just go, exercise your democratic right, universal suffrage, you vote, and you go on about your day. That is because of how their electoral process and is. And I think that is something I totally agree with you. And then the party with the majority in parliament, the head of that party gets to be the president, and that's why Cyril Ramaphosa is the president right now. So I don't know if we have, especially here in Kenya, We've seen with the advent of a multi-party democracy, we've seen, like now see we had 51 presidential candidates, and a lot of them are jokers. I'm glad to see IEBC has done its job, even if that job was not quite well done because of the mistakes we've seen throughout that process, but somehow they weeded out and we remained with the 4 presidential contenders. So when you look at the number of political parties that have mushroomed, that are not based on agenda, are not based on ideals, are not based on anything that is actually geared towards fixing the problems or addressing the issues or, that we are experiencing or that could help this country move forward, but based on I need to form a political party at the coast so that I go to negotiate with Azimio or Kenya Kwanza so that I'm able to get a stake or be appointed as a minister or get this and that. It has really nothing to do with how are the people from that area going to benefit at all. So our political parties are like that. So that is the downside of the multi-party democracy and the democracy that we are enjoying here in the country today. So when you look at a country, Doc, like Somalia, its governance, I think they call it a 4-to-5 ratio, and it's based on the clanism, where the 4 leading clans, they can't have majority, in government or in parliament, and also the other 5 smaller clans. So they have to make sure while we select these people and while we give out positions of leadership, then this 4-to-5 ratio, as far as clans is concerned, must be factored in. And so everybody must feel included, which I think is something that we're grappling here in the country. So back to the proportional representation. Do you think if we can have that model of democracy, this might bring some order as far as our political parties is concerned? Because right now, I think it is one of the key problems that we have to deal with as far as our growing democracy is concerned.
Thank you very much, Miriam. Look here. How expensive is democracy in Africa? Very expensive. A country like Britain can hold a snap election in 10 days or 1 month. Can declare election that it will be held at the end of the month. Why? Because they have put their institutions. They have already put their institutions. In Britain, there are institutions where you vote, even when you are 20,000 miles away from Britain. You can send a postal vote, and your vote will be counted. You can register. There is an office in Britain which is registering people up to the end every day. Here, the Electoral Commission of Africa, most of them, register people, give you time that 1 month you must come to register. The offices of Electoral Commission cease to work after the announcement of electoral results. Some of them go back. They collect salary. Now, if you can ask Chebukati, for example, in Kenya, what was Chebukati doing? Was he only collecting salary? Why didn't Chebukati know that the things that are mentioned here in the Daily Nation were important for the elections? Why? Why didn't he do that? Why? Because Chebukati, election in Africa has become a cash cow. Media, it has become a cash cow, where everybody in Africa eats from. People eat from the cash cow. Look at the way people have put up bills something like, if you are talking of, for example, if you are talking of going to print ballot papers, how many companies have we switched from one to the other? Now we have a smart something company in the Netherlands, which is printing finally our papers.
No, it's the Smartic, I think it's concerned with the biometric part.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But the papers are being printed in Greece. Now, the danger of the African democracy, the Secretary of State for American government has just sent a message after Ruto had written to them. And he says, after claims of Ruto's claims, he said he hopes this election will be free and fair, free of violence. Just now, Ruto has released a letter to President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. A letter has been sent to Uhuru Kenyatta right now.
His boss?
He's writing a letter to his boss saying, you see, I told the Kenyans yesterday, and I've just been telling you this morning, that Ruto is setting a ground for violence. And whoever is advising Ruto is the chief prosecutor of International Criminal Court called Karim Khan. I'm telling you.
So what has he said? I'm really interested to know the content of that letter.
He says Raila Odinga is plotting violence. He has just written a letter, and nobody, you see, the Raila side, Azimio, they are not organized to answer this. These are things that are going to work against them. These are things that are going to work against them. Ruto is being given very serious advice from a top angle, and they have not allowed people to give them tactics. Ruto is using tactics, very tactical way of winning and putting us at crossroads with the international community.
But this is exactly what Raila used to do.
Now, there you are. And the people, what did we have? Didn't we have violence? Didn't we have violence, Miriam? Mm-hmm. So are we making two wrongs, make one right? Don't make one right. Mm-hmm. Ruto is putting his documents to every corner to paint the election in Kenya as very dangerous, as violence being planted by His Excellency, the Right Honorable Prime Minister. Mm-hmm. And the Right Honorable Prime Minister's communication team is not, Azimio team is not working. Me, I'm crying loudly. Don't blame me. I'm Paul, a Gentile, preaching to the Jews. Nobody is trying to help the Prime Minister. The Azimio group are busy on Twitter, but they are not writing. This guy is dismantling them every corner, everywhere, and they are keeping quiet. When something comes, a violence comes into Kenya, this guy will be well protected. He will say, I wrote to the president. The president, who is to answer? Somebody must answer. I told you yesterday that Ruto is trying to divide the security agencies, the army, the police. He wants to divide all of them so that they are in a quandary state. A quandary state. Then they start fighting each other, creating enmity, thereby laying a ground for final push. In case he's not won the election, he will go to the bush. Mm-hmm. I submit. If you can look at that, that is the cost of democracy. How then do we in Africa reduce the cost of democracy, the expensive democracy? How? Look across the whole continent of Africa. Opposition leaders are languishing either in jail, some are in jail, some are being beaten, some have broken limbs, some have been cut off, some have one eye taken out, some are on stretchers. This is the cost of democracy, of an expensive democracy. Isn't it time, therefore, what causes the cost of democracy to go high? Isn't it the elections, Miriam? What type of electoral systems can give Africa peace, freedom, tranquility, and development? Excuse. I submit, therefore, that for every African country, let each African country evaluate, do what we call fatigue evaluation of their electoral systems. Look at what Chebukati has been talking about, money. And now we are zeroing down to the obstacles that are disturbing Chebukati. He has just, again, as we are talking, he has just announced he's going to remove the 1.28, throw them out.
Yeah, as well he should.
So, what does that cast?
Double registration, wrong documents, dead people. They should be out of our register, but yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. But what does that tell you? What does that tell you?
Says a lot, Doc.
It tells you there are still more difficulties. That already, the removal of the 1.28 already, Miriam, gives a ground for petition in the Supreme Court.
That the register was cleared not on time, or the register has been
both
sanitized. If
sanitized.
you can use that word.
Somebody, you have used the correct word. Somebody will move to court, and I'm telling you, somebody is going to move to court that the register was not put up 6 months prior to elections. And the judges, these judges now at Supreme Court, where Martha Karua was told not to be part of the election anywhere, you know what she will do? She will send us back to another election. That is the cost of democracy in Africa. Let me do. Are you done, or you want to ask for something?
No, I'm done.
Okay. You want me to go?
Yes, they're ready for you.
The examples of elections across the continent of Africa, especially countries that are undergoing elections in Africa, and especially the countries that have been stable. Sorry, let me start. Cut that one. Democracy in Africa has been an expensive exercise. Each time each country, anywhere in Africa, goes to polls, there is a lot that comes with the elections. There is violence, there is spending, there is overspending, there is voter apathy, there is lack of voter education, and many other things that accompany a good, well-organized election. Most of the elections in Africa don't qualify, apart from that of South Africa, don't qualify to be transparent, true, reflecting the true nature of the voters. Observers and monitors come to make observation in 2 months, in 1 week, in 2 weeks, in 3 days. But they leave a lot to be desired. They don't understand the systems on African continent that cause the chaos, the election to be, and the democracy to be expensive. Most of the observers are foreign observers from European Union, where democracy in the European Union has been there for 800 years. We are only 67 years old of the first country having democracy or independence. Our democracy has not developed to a level that you can have observers who observe elections in Britain, for example, to come to United Kingdom, to leave United Kingdom and come to Africa to observe an election and expect a transparent way, the manner the people in Africa vote, conduct themselves, behave themselves before, during, and after. Therefore, what is the best way for Africa to avoid an expensive democracy? Africa needs to look at, again, review. Each country needs to review its electoral system. Each country needs to review what type of electoral mechanisms they need for their country. My proposal, therefore, as Dr. Matsanga, is proportional representation is a process that can stabilize, that can make elections very lucrative to the voters, to the citizens, to the international community, and to the governments that conducted those elections. Proportional representation will give you the angle of knowing the correct type of candidates purely on merit who will come to compete at a national level. Proportional representation has worked elsewhere. It has worked in South Africa, the only country in Africa that goes to polls, finish the polls, return to work without bloodshed. Why is it that we cannot copy the model of South Africa? Try it in our parts of the world. Try it in Kenya, for example. Can proportional representation in Kenya remove the obstacles of violence? As we speak now, accusations are coming from each side. Each person is accusing the other, are writing letters to international community, which are going to be letters that are there, that should there be a chaos, they will point fingers. The current president who did not act, they will point the fingers to those who have won the election. They are the people who committed this type of violence. Isn't it the time, therefore, to avoid an expensive democracy in Africa by bringing proportional representation that can heal all the wounds of electoral malpractices? Because after all, candidates will be selected not only by you, but by all of us across the country. Therefore, we shall have a winner who will be known as the winner, and there will be no people going to violence. I therefore submit that proportional representation by Matsanga's standards, and given the example I have given, is the best way to harmonize elections and conduct elections in Africa. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you so much, and thank you too to our viewers. Doc, thank you so much for that submission, and also congratulations to the a new Somalia's president who's being inaugurated today. So I forgot to add that information while we were going on with the show. Thank you so
Yes,
much. Yeah.
it's okay. We are not going to go back, but we
Yes.
can make, I hope President Kenyatta is jetting into Somalia today.
I just saw Abiy Ahmed, the Prime Minister for
Yes, I
Ethiopia.
have seen Abiy Ahmed, I've seen Djibouti,
Yes.
I've seen Egypt, I have seen so many countries. This is the first time to get, hold of.
Yes. So
of,
hopefully,
of
yeah. And he's brought in a new face of hope. So hope we wish him well and the people of Somalia, because all we want, especially as neighbors, is a stable Somalia. So Hassan Mohammed, congratulations are in order, the new president of the Federal Republic of Somalia. It's a federal state of Somalia. Very well.
we shall look at it tomorrow in our unfiltered show in the morning.
Yes.
To find out what are the undercurrents that could sweep off
And
the
Doctor,
new.
there's a comment here by one of our viewers. Maybe just read it quickly and then we can just wrap things up.
Yes.
Thank you so much for watching us this afternoon. You're saying President Uhuru has shown desire and willingness to leave Kenya a peaceful and cohesive country. I don't think he will allow any violence in the country. So he's saying, there's a good chance the government will make sure things are actually in order, despite of what could be going on or being planned. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless.